Good evening. Hi, yeah, I'm originally from Eccles, but don't judge me. Right, yeah, well, we need to really start this story from when I went blind. So we're going to take a trip back to late October 2008. Bamba, sit down. Sit down, mate, come on. He'll lie down in a minute. So, yeah, late October 2008. And I woke up one Sunday morning with really blurred vision. And I thought, that's a bit strange. That was one too many wines last night. That's what made the wheels fall off this wagon anyway. So it didn't clear up. So I wasn't concerned at the time, really. But I thought, well, let's be clever and let's make an appointment for the optician. So went to the opticians the following day. And my eyes were non-responsive, so they didn't respond to any light stimulus, and they didn't dilate with the drops in. So the optometrist said, well, let's try and get a look at the back of your eyes. So he did his best, and the back of my eyes were all swollen around my retinas. So he said, you need to go to the eye hospital straight away. So I said, can I go the day after tomorrow? Because Level 42 is in concert tonight, and I've got to see him. And I was. It had been arranged for me to meet them. So, I mean, with hindsight, there's nothing I could have done anyway. So, Level 42 gig out of the way, and I went to the eye hospital, and they thought it could have been early onset of macular degeneration, which is a condition that affects thousands of people, especially those that getting on in years. They ruled that out, and they also thought it could have been uveitis, which is an arthritic form of blindness, because I suffer with arthritis and bone disease. That's another story. So it wasn't that. Cut a long story short, now I'd like you to all close your eyes. No cheating. Everybody close your eyes. That was my life 4 weeks after waking up with blurred eyesight. I have no vision at all, and my retinas had been completely eaten away by Toxoplasmosis, which is a virus found in dog feces. Of your ears. So, so that's why it's really important for people to pick up after the pets. And, it destroyed my eyesight and set me on this amazing new path that I'm going to describe now. So, anyway, after being told that I was going to be blind the rest of my life and there was nothing that they could do, obviously it was a sad, traumatic occasion. And I don't mind admitting that I did cry in the car on the way home because I was a keen motorcyclist. I drove. I was a student pilot. I was learning to fly. Everything's taken away from you in an instant. And although, there's a lot of things to deal with from that moment, rehabilitation, working with sensory teams and specialised social workers, there's a lot to process. And I don't know if you've seen the picture of me with my son yet. Yeah, that's Charlie. He's nearly 18 now, but the last time I saw him was when he was 7. So I'll never see him again. And Nicola, my partner on the front row, we met 3 years ago. I've never seen Nicola and never will, but I know what she looks like by obviously touching her face and things like that. So anyway, thank you very much. Yes. And she's my future wife. We're getting married on the 20th of September this year. So yeah, she's made me very, very happy. And Bamba's off. Erin, Bamba, he's probably getting drinks and food and things. Right, Bamba. So anyway, that's what you get for your £50,000. So anyway, keep donating to guidedogs.org. Get a chance like he is. What did I say? He's a mank. So, anyway, a year after going blind, then the trouble really started. It was a delayed action, and out of the blue, I suffered with really, really severe anxiety. And this manifested itself in panic attacks, feeling nauseated, being physically sick, muscle spasms, feeling like I had electric shocks, not sleeping. I had a support worker at the time, and some days he'd come to take me out to the shops and things, and I felt that ill. I couldn't go. And other occasions I would be out, and then have a huge panic attack, just fear of tripping up, having an incident, of for various reasons, needing the toilet and not knowing where to go. So that lasted for about 4 years, and I have to be honest that if it had been a single man and didn't have an amazing son and a great network of family and friends, I think I would have checked out, to be perfectly honest. And there are blind people that have committed suicide, and I completely get why they do it. There was a police officer a few years ago that was injured and lost his sight, and he ended up committing suicide. And I can tell you, it's such a huge thing for the brain to deal with. Hallucinations too, because you used to see, and then when you go completely blind like me, the brain, 30% of the brain, I think, is used to process visual images, and your brain's trying to deal with all that. So it's a terrible place to be. So anyway, with counselling from the RNIB and medication from the doctor, slowly but surely, taking baby steps, you begin to feel a bit more with it, and like you want to attempt a few more things that day, and you have good days and bad days, but generally the good days become more prolific. So let's get to why really I'm here now. About 4 years ago, I thought, I'd really like a vampire steak. Strange but true. I'm a huge horror fan, always have been, always will be, and I thought, vampire steak, I've got to have one in my life. Who wouldn't want a nice vampire steak in their life? But I didn't want to whittle a stick. It wasn't the effect I was going for. I wanted something a bit more stylized, a bit more artistic, something that was a challenge to do. So I thought, wood turning could be the way to go, but I don't know any wood turners. I've never been a wood turner, never attended a class. They didn't do it at the school I went to, the high school. So I thought, YouTube, that's a handy resource. So I listened to YouTube, and we've calculated this for 600 hours. So what I was doing was every day I was listening to tutorials about wood turning, and I treated it like going to college. I had a cup of tea, and it'd be there on my lap, the laptop, and listening to all the technical info, the jargon, the tools and techniques, wood types, and everything. And as I was listening to all the videos on YouTube, mental images were forming just like they would do with an audio book or reading a book. So after the 600 hours we'd got to, I thought, right, well, I can't put this off any longer. So I went out and bought a lathe and the wood turning tools, which are known as gouges. Got some wood and taught myself. So I ended up with the vampire steak, which now sits in my workshop, and that reminds me that was Genesis. So I just continue to practice and work hard, still just in the garage at home, and it's all stop, start, touch, feel, stop, start, touch, feel. It takes me hours and hours longer to do a project or a piece of art than it would do a sighted wood turner, but it's the challenge. It's the danger that's involved. These machines are massively dangerous. They spin at up to 4,000 RPM. They have a lot of torque. The tools that I'm using are razor sharp. So for a sighted wood turner, it's massively dangerous. But I think the fact that I start, stop, feel, it's made me safer. I don't get complacent, and I don't just jump in and, have what's called a catch where the wood can explode and you end up with a chisel in your forehead. It's not a look I'm going for, really. So, I love the challenge, and my skills were progressing, albeit slower than a sighted wood turning. They were progressing, and people were beginning to say, wow, this is really amazing, Chris. And to do this just by touch, it's incredible, and you couldn't make me one of those, could you? And I say, how much will you charge me? And obviously it's friends and family discount early on, and, it's like, and I was making the typical stuff that wood turners make, goblets, bowls, candlesticks, and I was obviously putting my own unique spin on things. So that's an extra 10 on that one, right? So and then I was progressing and loving it and giving myself some greater challenges as the weeks progressed. And the store that I used to go to, well, still do, where I get all my tools and machinery from, it's called Axminster. It's a very successful company. They've got 9 huge, beautiful superstores all around the country. The one I go to is in Warrington. So from the get-go, they were really, really kind to me. And, if you want anything, let us know. You can feel and touch whatever you want in the shop. Don't worry about knocking anything over. Let us know if you want a drink. Great bunch. So I was going in there, getting my stuff, and they had wood-turning demonstrations by professional wood-turners in store that I used to go and listen to and try and assimilate more knowledge and information about this amazing art form and craft. And it was probably about 2.5 years ago that Phil, and there's a photograph of Phil leaning over a machine with a bit of paper. I don't know if you've seen that yet. Phil's the store manager at Warrington, and he said, hey, Chief, he said, you don't want to do a demo in store, do you? So I can't believe he's asked me that. So I thought, well, why not? Me being, one for a challenge and not wanting to pass up an opportunity. I said, oh, go on then. What's the worst that can happen, in front of dozens of people in a store, wood turning and you can't see? I mean, it's easy, isn't it? So anyway, Phil gave me my first ever in-store professional wood turning demo. And from that, really, things began to snowball, and people were beginning to find out from a YouTube channel that I started about 4 years, just after I started wood turning. I decided to also start a YouTube channel to inspire and motivate people. Now, people go through difficult times at various points in their life. It's not just about disability. People can be having tough times for any number of reasons. And I want people to have that warrior mentality. I'm of Danish descent. I love the heavy metal Viking thing, so you can have that warrior attitude by making sure the bills are paid, caring for the kids when they're sick, not giving up. And I like to say, not dead, can't quit. So I wanted to sort of like convey this message on my YouTube channel and inspire and motivate people. And it was gaining subscribers, and I think I'm about 4,500 subscribers now, which is not too shabby for a blind guy from Eccles. So I'm really pleased with that. And I was obviously getting subscribers and friends from all over the world, and they were so kind. So that was, again, more of a reason to carry on and keep pushing forward. And Nicola's always behind me saying, go on, look, go big or go home, that sort of mentality. So I started the YouTube channel, which was growing in popularity. I'd done my first professional wood turning demonstration in this amazing store, and people from wood turning clubs started getting in touch via the website and seeing me on YouTube and saying things like, well, this is really amazing. We've never heard of a blind wood turner before, and is it really true? And so, yeah, it's cool. Of course it's true, So I think I'm one of probably only 2 or 3 completely blind professional wood turners in the world. So we're really thin on the ground. So he says, really thin on the ground. So, yeah, it's quite a unique thing to have a completely blind wood turner come and do a professional demonstration. So I was loving it, and this was the jungle drums were beating, and sort of like word was spreading around, and I was really pleased with the progress. And of course, I have setbacks, and I'd make something and it wasn't right, and I still suffer with anxiety, but it's controllable now. And I get, funnily enough, doing this public speaking, it's, I don't feel anxious at all. I really enjoy it. And people say if you're public speaking, imagine that everyone's naked. You see me being blind in my sick, twisted head. You lot have been naked all night, which is really cool. So that always gets me through. So, and in here, you're all looking amazing, so don't worry about it. So yeah. And that guy over there smells really sexy. What's that got? So anyway, so yeah, things are going well. And then the media found out. So I was on, what was the first thing I did, Nicola? BBC, was it? Oh, well, the first thing I did was last Christmas, BBC Radio Manchester. I was on the breakfast show, and I got to meet Mike Sweeney, and that was, it's full, all right, how are you doing, our kid? Yeah, and it's like, wow, what a smart dog, and we're, yeah. Right, so, It was amazing. So at the third attempt. So anyway, yeah, a lot of media work is coming on, and I'm on the BBC One show. Hopefully this year they're coming round to film, and Axminster Tools and Machinery really got what I was doing, and they'd been following my progress. So just a few weeks ago, I signed a contract, and I am now sponsored by Axminster Tools and Machinery, which is sort of like the holy grail for artists and professionals alike. So next Monday, I've got £2,000 worth of new machinery coming to the workshop for me to play on, and yeah, as a thank you from Axminster, and I've just also bought a MIG welder as well, teaching myself how to weld. So I know, it's just madness. So anyway, as I like to say, everybody, keep on turning. Not dead, can't quit. I love you all. Thank you so very much for hearing my story.
Wow, what a story. Thank you, Chris.